sacral occipital balancing.
Neck, posterior sacrum occiput balancing.
Yeah, so I'm going to have one hand on the sacrum. I'm trying to have my client as straight as possible. If I do a quick show of the back, I've got most of the back available here that I can do massage through. If she was really rolled forward, it's going to make it really hard for us to try and massage, because we're going to have either this side of the back really opened up or this side really collapsed back if they're laying backwards on the bed. So nice and square is good, and try and get them nice and straight. So Alex's head's a little forward, but we can deal with that. One hand on the sacrum, facing inferiorly. So instead of working straight down the bed, I am on a bit of an angle here. I'm going to be working along the length of that spine. One hand on the sacrum, one hand on the occiput, and it's just a nice little traction stretch. How you feeling there? All good? Don't work too hard and knock your head bolster off the table. Little stretch there through the head. Is there more lower back on there?
Yeah, lower back.
More lower back. Telling me that we've probably got a little bit more lower back issues than neck issues in this column. And then coming out, beautiful. Yep.
Head, jaw, masseter, muscle release.
So, just going to work on those masseters. One hand just on the top of the head to support. Doesn't have to be a heavy hand. And just nice circular thumb frictions down those masseters there. And with most women, you'll be able to just do a nice little slide through them even without much oil. Okay, everyone's got just a little bit of fine hair here. If you were doing this on a bloke, you wouldn't be doing pregnancy massage, but stubble may stop you. Okay, it may be a little bit rough there. But on girls, you can just about always do it. How's that feeling, all right? Beautiful. This is actually pretty tight jaw, so this is a really good technique to do. Next one.
Head, occiput traction, gentle.
Okay, so I'm going to hold the head, I'm going to hold the base of the occiput here, so get my hand around the head. What I might do for this one, because your head is raised a little bit, I'm just going to pull that bolster out. So I'm going to take the head weight, bolster up there, relax that head. If their head was nice and straight for their size, then you can just do it straight with the bolster there, and I'm just going to do another nice little traction on the back of the neck there. So I'm using my fingers to support the head's weight and just drawing up through the back of the neck. Nothing too crazy, a little bit of stretch there. Don't crush their head. Don't give them a headache. And relax. Put your head there, you can relax. Yeah, just get yourself comfortable there, yeah. Cool. Next one.
Posterior arm stretch and traction.
So, I've got the arm stretch on the stand just behind my client here. Draw the arm up overhead. She's going to make sure that towel stays where it's supposed to be. I'm going to put one hand down on the hip if I can reach that far. If you've got a really big client and you're really small, you may have to just do the stretch up through here. But to get it most effectively, I'm going to get one hand down on the hip, push down and away with the hip, and then a slight draw up on the shoulder. And how you feeling there? Nice stretch. What am I stretching out here? Lats. And lats often get really, really tight during pregnancy. So get a lot of that upper and lower cross coming in with the extra weight of the belly. And relax. So not a hard stretch, but holding for a little bit longer there. And we've got our chest stretch next.
Posterior chest stretch with back supported.
So I'm going to support the back here, otherwise she's just going to roll and lay on her back. Hand on the scapula, I'm going to say sacrum there. Hand on the scapula, I'm just going to draw that arm backwards. Are you stretching there? Do you need any more, or is that enough? A little bit more. I'm just really feeling for that joint. I don't want to feel that joint do anything that we don't want. Don't want to dislocate on the video. That'd be bad. And then I'm going to bring that arm back down. Alright, next one.
Inferior sliding compression.
On the neck. This is where we're going to
Strokes
on the
to
traps.
neck.
Okay, we can leave them draped like this for the minute. I'm going to get a little bit of oil. So we're going to be doing traps. We can do a little bit through scale into the neck as well here with our frictions. So I'm just going to put a little bit of oil in there. So This may not be directly in line with the way the notes go, but I can use my thumb slide, you know, as you would do with them on their back. I can do the same thing now, working down the side of the scalenes. Now I've got that little bit of oil on there. So just nice little one. We can do little circular frictions. Just release the side of those scalenes quite nicely.
Is that like medium kind of pressure?
Most of our pressure here, I'm going to be going more gentle here. If I knew it was a bad neck, I'd be talking a lot to my client and I could go a little bit deeper there. But just watch, you're only doing pressure on one side. So if you go heavy, you're going to be basically giving them a lateral flex on the neck. And we can bring that around a little bit. Try and get that oil out of the hair out of the way. And down a little bit on ES. Now what I'm going to do is open that shoulder up a little bit. So if we put that arm up on here. Beautiful. And now I've given myself a lot more space. That's better. Okay, I can work, if I work with my knuckles, doing some sliding compressions off the top of off trap, and then sliding down the back. So these have got a bit more of a fascial nature about them, as opposed to a deep knuckle that we'd normally be doing like through the legs or through the back in a prone position. So I'm trying to stretch. If we're trying to stretch the fascia, turning a little bit helps. So turning that fist and getting a little bit more drag on it helps nicely. I could also come down here, use the fingers, and then drag down the back as well. Right, all these feel really nice. Any of you with nice tight traps are going to love this one getting done. All right. Remember though, we've got that point on the top of the shoulder here, gallbladder 21. All right. That's a real big no-no until the woman's ready to actually go into labour. All right. So that was the midpoint from the spine to the acromion. So that nice big knot that everybody knows about. Don't get stuck into that. You can work over it, like I'm working over it here and moving, and it's fine. But just don't get stuck into it. Definitely don't trigger point it or try and do acupressure style releases on it. Just continue moving over the top of it. Don't do any deep, like repeated frictions and things like that. So don't really focus on that area. Okay, next one.
Head stripping, scalene, nervated scapula, and other traps.
So basically just run through all of those.
Posterior kneading the traps.
Okay. So standing in the back here, I can do some kneading to the traps here. I can also knead to the neck as well if I can get my hand around the neck. So normal kneading here. We all know and love this technique. And I can do a little bit in through even the scalenes in the back of the neck. I'll just support the forehead so I'm not making my nice pregnant client headbang. Right there. Good. Nice and relaxed. Good. She's very happy for her free massage. And I could feel ES is actually quite tight in there. And because I have done a little bit of kneading around and felt a few areas that I hadn't felt before, I might actually come through and actually do a little bit of stripping work through there just to try and free that up, because I know that's tight. It's tight on both sides, but I'm not going to go right through that now. You get the gist of freeing up ES.
Posterior thumb stripping, slash knuckles along the spine, and then you're just going to go.
Okay, so that's where I'm going to get right down here now. Work down and stay on the inside of that scapula. So I can work with the knuckles, which I showed you just before. And if there was any nice tight spots, which there often is, I can get the thumbs and work with both thumbs together and work down the back. Don't try and stand right at the head of the bed like you would with face down. You're going to do your top wrist. Okay, it gets very uncomfortable. I was a little too far forward. Or way backward. So I'm going to work down through here. Alright. So same as we would normally do face down, doing that stripping, working back up through the back, we can now do it working down the back. Next one.
Arms, kneading and petrissage.
Okay.
Upper arm.
So this is basically our upper back done. If they did have any big shoulder issues and were tight through the back of the shoulder, you can definitely do some work in through infraspinatus as well. There's nothing stopping you using the knuckles and stripping down through there nicely, or using the thumbs, working back towards yourself, or working away from yourself and freeing up the back of that arm. If they were really tight, drop the arm forward so you can access the scapula a little bit more. As I said, this is a basic routine. There's a lot of additional things that you could do with it. oil here, oil up the whole arm. Needing petrissage to upper arm.
Yep.
There's the oil on first. Good. Muscle relaxation by proxy. Petrissage through there. Alright. Yeah, I think I've lost my client. She's fallen asleep real good. Alright, next one.
Palm effleurage, C cup position to
Okay.
forearm.
This is just that, like you would do on a calf, being in that C position. I'm just going to work the whole way up the arm. I could have alternate arms. I think this hand's going to slip, so just bring that arm back up. And I can either work with the arm here,
And thumb frictions against areas.
yeah, or I can take that arm, and it does sometimes feel nicer doing this because then I can work around that whole arm and give it a nice effleurage. Now, if someone had fluid, I would actually do this differently. I wouldn't start with the kneading. I would start with one of the techniques coming up. But if you've got a standard arm that doesn't have any fluid in the knuckles at all, fingers look fine. Okay, I can work in whatever sequence order I wish, and this is normally how I would work more. I wouldn't look so much at ever working back down the arm though, especially in pregnancy. And why is that? I don't want to get fluid build up in the hands. If they had any fluid there, it's a big caution. If they didn't have any fluid, I definitely don't want to start creating any edema and jamming their rings on their fingers so they can't get them off because they go all puffy. You are nice and tight there, aren't you? Get a little bit of a smile and a grimace combined here. It's relaxing now, it hurts a little bit. She's going to be picking up, well, is picking up kids anyway, so the 12 kilo son at home, and now the next one that's going to come, a bit of forearm work's going to be quite nice.
Light edema, lymphatic drainage.
Okay, this is our cat scratch. This one looks really funny, and if you do it poorly, it feels a bit awful, but if you do it well, it feels good. So it's just a light pressure, but you're not trying to sit right at the surface. You want to be just kind of at the top of the muscle tissue, or just trying to get to the fascial level. And what we're going to do, this is the technique I'd start off with if they did have swollen fingers. Same in the legs if they had swollen feet. And I would just start to work back, doing a nice, it's not that light though. Okay, I'm not doing this ultra light. Okay, or any lymphatics, it's just that it's a very light but firm touch, and you would work that the whole way up the arm to try and encourage that lymphatic to move. Okay, yeah, we just go hand over hand with it. So if they were swollen, I would do this technique, and what do you think I would do straight after it? That C-cup effleurage to help move the fluid as well. Again, I wouldn't be going in there going, I want to work with a deep effleurage. It's going to be a lighter version, and again, we can use that following motion. Beautiful.
Compression, separations, recent hand.
Okay. Compressions and separations and things like that, we definitely don't want to be doing any of this stuff if they're swollen. Okay? Why not? Same with our rotation and traction of the fingers. Why wouldn't we want to do that? Same with the fluid, yeah. All you're going to do is make space for the fluid to enter into the hand and stay there. So, it's rotation traction next, isn't it? So if I do the rotations and tractions, now you guys have learned doing it with a thumb and index finger. I do it with index and middle finger. And sit it between the knuckles. Sit their finger between the knuckles. Like that. You see that okay? Work it through, stay relaxed. I know which one's next. Client always wants to stick their next finger up for you to do it. Alright, yep.
Back, stand at the head of the bed and face inferior.
Okay. So I'll just take the oil off the arm there. I don't have all the oil applications and removals. We're in stage 3, we can work them out. That arm up here, you can cover your pillow again. That's really the only time I need the arm up on the hip or I'm going to be holding it. I'm going to do my draping. I'll come to the side where I normally do it so I don't look incorrectly. I am already tucked here. So I'm going to bring that towel about halfway along the ribs, about to the level of the armpit there. We can push it down a little. I am tucked in here to the top of the hip. And there's my back exposed. Or her back exposed. Okay, I'm not going to play with this. Love having electric tables. I can move whenever I feel like it. So I'm facing down the table, 2 hands, and a nice bit of effleurage down the back. Pretty much exactly the same as you would be doing if the person was face down and you're working from the head of the bed. They do have a lot of arch in the lower back, which actually your lower back arch isn't too bad, but if they did have a lot of arch there, I would definitely be getting over that sacrum and try and flatten that sacrum out a little bit, flatten the lumbar spine, coming back up. Does that feel alright? Nice little stretch in the lower back. Oh, if Alex likes it, let me do it. Lovely. Yep.
Bladder points.
Alright. So the bladder points come out of acupressure, but they're very good to do here in a side laying routine. Erector spinae muscle, about this wide. What you're heading for is the midpoint of that, okay? That bit you flick over when you're doing any cross fibre work up ES. So all you're going to do is work up through here. Because it's very difficult to work down this way or get down here and try and do a cross fibre friction. You can do it a little bit, but it does get difficult to do the whole back. I'm just going to feel about where that scapula is, about halfway into the spine, and between each spinous process, that gap you can feel between the vertebra, I'm going to do a nice pressure. What we do is, whenever you're doing any pressure techniques like this, take a nice breath in and slowly breathe out, and that's how long you're going to apply your pressure for. So I'll be coming in. Just watch out, this spine is going to curve, so make sure you don't lose your positioning. That's feeling alright? I can ask my client to stop me anywhere there's any real pain, so I can then work on that. So I'm working the whole way down through the back. Am I going to work over the sacrum? Remember, we've got one of those points down in the sacrum that definitely does promote labour. I use it when I'm doing acupuncture treatments. Every time I'm trying to promote labour, I use the sacral point. So at this point, you're probably a few weeks off wanting that, aren't you?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay, we're a little bit early at 25 weeks?
Yeah. I'll come and visit you later.
25 weeks, probably a little bit early. She said she'll come visit me later. Yeah, so work down till you feel the top of the sacrum and that's deep enough. It's actually the second sacral hole, but we use the first and second a lot of the time together. So just stay off the sacrum, unless, again, if they're 36 weeks plus, doesn't really matter. It's about time that you can start to try and promote labour. Okay? Not that you're really going to be doing much with that, but that's when gallbladder 21 and the sacral points and the lower ankle points and that become not so much of a worry to us. So that was those points. You can repeat them. You can do those points right next to the spine as well, right on either side of the spine if they're feeling a lot of stiffness in the spine as opposed to the back muscles. And we'll do that in the stress relief massage.
Kneading to the back.
Alright, kneading to the back. We're normally only going to do the top half of the back. Because I am only going to do one side, I'm going to be tricky and try and do the top and the bottom. So we're going to be doing like a normal kneading. This doesn't really work when you're face down, but on the side, the tissue's a lot softer. So I can get in there. I wouldn't normally kneel down, but it's hopefully so that we can see. Alright, just a nice bit of kneading into the back there. Feeling alright there?
Yeah.
Good. And to get the lower back, the lower side of the back, I need to do both sides at once and get all of ES in my hands. Definitely are a bit more lower back tightness, aren't you?
Yeah.
I can now feel that there is extra tension in through that lumbar region there. We'll do that in the next massage when we do our lumbar and sciatica releases. Next one.
Abdomen, circular effleurage. Right around abdomen.
Right. I've finished with the upper back there, so I'll just take the oil off the upper back. Don't take it off the lower back yet. We will be doing a little bit of technique in there. This is the one point where if you want to see what I'm doing, we will have to move around the other side of the bed. So I'll just drape this first. I showed you guys how to do it. Then you get right up in under there. You all right there? Yep. Yeah, bring that one around. Yep. Sorry on the video, we'll have a few stretch marks because you've had a baby before. It's pretty common. Right, don't freak out if you see them. Now, if Alex was a lot further along during the pregnancy, like real deep into the third semester, that belly is actually going to sit up here a lot more. It's not really going to, when we're laying down, feel like it's going to come that much further forward. It's just actually the width of the fetus there, and you're going to find that it will actually fill up higher off the table. So when we do these techniques, you're going to be able to get a lot more purchase. We're practicing on each other though. It's real difficult to do these because you can't get that circular effect that I can get here. So, except maybe on Paul. So, circular effleurage, yes? There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to work around that belly. I'm going to lift it up a little bit here. I'm looking around that belly. And this is the point in time when bubs normally either stop moving if they've been moving a lot. Have you had any movement yet?
At the beginning.
Yeah, because the bub's going, what's going on to mum? Okay. Or, if they have been quiet the whole time, this isn't what normally wakes them up when they start kicking. And it's really funny when you're massaging and you start getting kicked. So circular effleurage, exactly like you're doing abdominal massage, yes?
You are lifting palm strokes across and up abdomen.
Okay, so this is where I'm going to start with across the belly. Feel the right in?
Yeah.
Good.
Just wait for the baby to roll over.
Yeah, we do get some movement happening. So I'm just lifting across the belly there. And you can do this from either side if you wanted to. I normally only do it once during a massage. I don't normally do it twice. And then lifting up the belly there. Okay. We don't want to go down the belly. I want to try and hold everything up at the moment. Later on in the pregnancy, you may do this heading down the belly. Yep.
Mirrored strokes, circular palm effleurage with abdomen and lower back.
Do you remember the pirouette on the abdominal massage? Okay, so now we're doing mirrored effleurage, so I'm doing the same thing on both sides. So what I'm trying to do is, if you do nothing else, this is the one that feels really good. Is I try and bring both the belly and the back so they start to get a bit more, you know, a bit of proprioception. Then I'll come up and I'll swap around and I'll work back the other way. Remember, someone was telling me, oh no, you can't go that way. You're not promoting digestion. Don't think I can really make much impact on the intestines at this point in time. There's a baby in the way of that, so. Beautiful. Yep.
Again,
And then
circular
hold.
effleurage.
Yep. So we do go back into our old circular effleurage again, and it's just holding, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, your holding can be done a few different ways. It's just like some of the warming hands techniques, and some are just like the relaxing holds, so you can either hold there, especially if the baby starts kicking you, which is it moving around?
No.
No, it's just gone quiet.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, okay.
Normally, this baby's
I can either hold
crazy.
here, or I can get just below the belly button there, or at the belly button, and onto the lower back. Especially if anyone's done any form of Reiki or energy healing or anything like that, you project a little bit of heat into them here. I can feel a heap of heat coming off your lower back now. And that can be really nice and soothing, okay? And that's our belly. Nothing too hard, is it? Only 4 or 5 techniques there, and the belly's done. Cool. I'll let you take the oil off that later. And we'll bring the top towel back down there. Okay, so belly's nice and covered.
Now it's the leg.
Yep.
Long strokes, thigh.
Okay, so now we have to change our draping right up there. That's right, all our thigh work is in, top of our hip is all in the next routine. And A lot of people ask me how you put the two together, and all I would do is do basically the upper body from this routine and then chuck the hip and lower back in when they're draped appropriately. So I would already have done the lower back work and the top of the hip before I get to this stage where I'm warming up the side of the thigh. So I'm going to do my draping here. So you're going to stay in the front here, right? Yeah, keep that towel in there. And let's see how far up we are here. Okay. You'll be surprised at how far we can come up to get to those undies. There we go. And lift that knee up just a touch underneath there. Down you go. Beautiful. I'm just going to bring that towel out to get as much of that thigh exposed as I can. You comfortable there?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Now, hopefully when you're doing pregnancy massage you don't get too many hairy legs. When you're doing a side massage on a guy though, and they do have hairy legs, use even more oil than you normally would on the front or the back, because you're going to have even more hair to absorb that oil. So you guys are probably about in the worst spot. Next one. Oh, sorry, what was the first one there? Just effleurage?
Long strokes.
Yep,
Use
okay.
effleurage, palm effleurage,
All right.
kneading, petrissage, palm, knuckle, and elbow
Alright.
compression.
So basically, your normal Swedish and remedial techniques here. So I can do my normal effleurage there. You can do that C position effleurage. I can do some knuckles.
Kneading, petrissage.
Yep. I'm going to use those knuckles to try and find out where some tension is. You're actually not feeling too bad.
Yeah,
through
not
this,
too bad.
surprisingly enough. But Alex was saying her other side was the sore side, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll see what I find on the other side when I get there.
More in the hip.
Yep, so yours is more up in here.
Yeah.
And I can work a little bit even in this routine. Towel, too much towel. Drape it up. And we'll work around the greater trochanter a little bit there. Even in this routine, that's fine. Knuckles, the forearm works around there quite nicely. You can go up the outside of the quad, around the greater trochanter and back down. Okay, you imagine that there's a lot of different ways you can apply those techniques. It's up to that individual person's body where they need that work. You can come in and do a little bit of cross fibre work if you needed to. Okay. Excellent.
And it also says alternating circular thumb frictions
Ah.
to your belly base from knee to hip.
That's one of the times that I actually do use that circular thumb friction. That is the bit of ITB massage here, because it's normally really nasty just down here.
Not too bad
It's
today.
not too bad. Oh, good, good. Why do I use this one? Because it's a lighter technique, isn't it? I get in there and start doing thumb frictions and stuff. I annoy the bursa there, and all they do is get a bit of tendonitis or bursitis at the bottom of the IT band. I can come up, but focus in that lower third there. A really good area for this technique.
Repeat the above techniques to the lower leg.
Yeah. So this is all pretty easy. I'll just do a couple of each technique. So I can do some C position effleurage, some palms. I'm just going to watch the bruise there. Okay. Keep your eye out for any big varicose veins. All I've got here are little spider veins around. No big varicose veins, they're distended ones, so I'm not really all that worried at this point in time. I can use finger frictions, backing off over that bruise. I can work up through the back of the calf a little bit to get some oil in there. Knuckles. So just whatever the client needs. So even though when I'm demonstrating this, it's only going to take me a few minutes to do the side of the leg, this could take you, if it was quite a tight leg, even without going into the sciatica and lower back work, this could take you 10 or 15 minutes to do a side of the leg because they're really tight through their legs. I'm not going to take that much time on the video though. And a little bit of that protected thumb friction up through tibs anterior, because that one's just about always nasty. Right. Next one, Millie.
Massage foot, palm kneading and alternating circular thumb frictions.
So palm kneading here, so it's like doing our foot from supine position more so. We can work on both feet here, which is cool. When you're working on the top foot, because you will do a little bit of work on the lower leg, when you're working on the top foot, try and work around obviously the outer ankle, but work through the top of the foot. And when you're working on the bottom leg, work more through the bottom of the foot, through the plantar surface. So try and work all the way around through the ankle there. Nice little bit of cross fibre and circular frictions there. Typical old thumb slides through here. In the feet, don't stop and try and go hard on any sore points, because again, we've got a lot of reflexology points and stuff, so it's just about continual movement and nothing too heavy. And we can work that one. There's heaps of points in the feet, yeah. There's one in the top of the foot here that we don't want to push too heavily on, and a lot through the bottom of the foot there, okay, through the sole, which is where all your reflexology points are. Just gonna move that towel there a little bit, so just lift up that touch again. There we go, make sure the touch there. Beautiful. All right.
Light edema, lymphatic drainage from ankle to mid-leg.
Okay. Again, I've done my heavier stuff first, so it's not really going to work for lymphatic drainage, but it is just a nice finish off technique through the leg. If they did have edema of the feet or the ankles, start here. That's the reason why I make sure it's in the routine. It's that same technique I was doing before, and just that nice full contact but light dragging fingers up the leg. How's that feel? All good? And bringing it up the leg. Right, don't do it really light and be strange about how you apply this technique. Right, so we can work all the way up. Try and get that fluid to work back up the leg. Okay.
It also says under leg, long effleurage strokes.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to assume my client may have some issues with blood clotting, because we are doing a pregnancy massage. So I'm going to keep this area covered up, the upper leg, and I'm just going to work through the lower calf. If you knew the person was really active and had no issue with blood clotting at all, then you could work up through the inner leg. Keep your pressure here like that level 2, that really light stuff.
Heavy lotioning.
Yeah, that's right. So what I'm going to do is just try and rub this oil in. That's where I want to get to. Some nice stuff just to rub the oil in. And just watch, I know you haven't done DVTs yet, but there is a line to watch out for, and it's straight up the back of the tibia. It's straight up the middle of the adductors, or just in front of the adductors, where you've got all the blood vessels running. So all your deep, big leg blood vessels. So if I just don't push deep through this line here, I come back off the tibia a bit into the gastroc and soleus, and I can do some heavy lotioning. Yeah, rubbing that sunscreen into the leg. And you can do a little bit of that foot as well. And again, with the foot, just do some nice broad palm heel work. Okay, maybe coming back and doing a little bit of knuckles, but try and avoid doing any deep frictions through here. There's just too many reflexology points here. If you don't know about them, we don't want to hurt them at all, so we keep it nice and light. But it does feel like a nice foot massage, doesn't it? If they're ticklish, don't do the traditional old go deep and hold and go slower, because then we're going to be going deep and going beyond what we want. Yep.
Long strokes and kneading to the calf.
Yep. So we could actually do that up here. So we can do the calf here, but the leg is going to move a fair bit. So I'm just going to slow down, and I can even do that just with one hand, like you would do on an arm. Nowhere near as good as when they're face down, but you know, we've got a bit of an issue with being face down. And then I'm going to do the bottom calf there. It works really nice on that bottom calf. Beautiful. Yep.
Massage foot, if not repositioning to opposite side, also good for plantar arch abscess.
Okay, fasciitis. Look at fasciitis. So I've done that already. So I did foot and then I did calf. Note say calf then foot, doesn't really matter. So there's your side of body routine. So we started off doing some work around some balancing in the neck. I'm going to try and just quickly run through these. Don't need to keep going.